So hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the second video in the series. Apologies for my funny voice and occasional coughing along the way, but a bit sick at the moment. So in the first video, we looked at OpenAI and using their API directly to essentially build chatbots, chat with doc summarization, and in the end, we got to building a chatbot with a GUI. So if you're interested in that, check out that video. Today, we're going to be looking at Langchain. Langchain is basically a wrapper that sits around large language models, and it facilitates a bunch of stuff. And we'll get into that in this video. And so to start, you need to install, where's my mouse? You need to install Langchain, simply pip install that. And then as always, you need your OpenAPI key. And also, as always, these files are available in the GitHub repo, which is linked in the description. So you can go to that right now. It may be faster for those who know what you're doing, but it'd be nice if you guys can leave a like, comment, and let this video play in the background. I may just start adding music to these, let it run for like an hour, and then you can just have some lo-fi synth wave while you go through the files. Yeah, because that's basically how I do it. But if you want some explanation on what's going on, then feel free to stick around, because especially in the second one, it does get a bit involved. So, I didn't go through and comment everything. And so you may find some explanations there along the way. Okay, so let's start. So the first Hello World problem is essentially building a chat completion, right? And what I've done is I have put it in a loop just so that it stops, so it just is going to do, we can make this one enter the loop. So this will just do it twice. And it's going to do a chatbot with a history. Sorry, not a chat completion. How you set up the chatbot is there. So that again looks a little bit different to what you do with the OpenAI API. And so if we run this, if we say Python, I got to save it, Langchain Hello World 1. Let me bring that up. So user, right? That's how it starts. The first message, I say, hello, do you know what Langchain is? As an AI model cutoff, yeah, okay. Haha, I know what you're gonna say. Okay, based on my recent blah, 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 right? So wait, let me bring that in there. Yeah, okay, then you can say, it would be nice if you had access to the internet, which will come up in the second file here, right? As an AI language model. I should put a if statement and just always delete that. Anyway, so great. Now we're up to this continue part. So another thing you can do is prompt templates, right? And these are essentially prompt functions. You can think of it that way. Fairly straightforward to understand, but can be powerful for guiding your application. And when we go on to chains later on, you'll see how it basically provides some guardrails and guides the large language model. Okay, so we import it, then we set up our template. So that's the key area. So in this case, I have two input variables, product and entity. And my template, my prompt template is, what is a catchy name for a entity that makes product, right? So we can set up a prompt that says cheese, Italian farm. What we'll do is we'll print that out. And then we'll basically do a chat completion with that prompt and see what it says, okay? So we can do that. Oh, clear Python. So we've skipped the first part because I just said k equals 3. And so that's the first continue. And that's the prompt printed. And now it's given us our answer. Cheese della Campania. So we can exit out of that and we can do the second prompt fairly easily without having to type everything again. And it tells us, what is a catchy name for a German factory that makes electric razors? Blitz Razor GmbH. GmbH, sorry, I speak a bit of German. Okay, so now what we can move on to is chains. And essentially, it's exactly what the name sounds like. You chain together language models, or you chain together, how do I say this? You chain together agents, right? So here we only had one chat agent, you can say, right? And that agent had a LLM behind it, had some settings. What you can now do is you can change them together, and the input of one agent goes into the second one, right? Hence the name language chain, Langchain, right? And you can imagine that the templates are key in this. So I played around a little bit with this, and I came up with this idea that I think highlights what is possible. What I decided to do was you start with a dish. You say, what is the taste profile for a dish, right? And I prompted it not to ramble on or say, as an AI language model, I don't have taste buds or something to that extent. So I said, just give me the taste profile. I don't care that you don't have taste buds. Then I said, okay, based on that taste profile, what is one cocktail, one mocktail, and one juice that will be a perfect pair, be perfect to pair with the taste profile? And then the last part is drinks. So then you say, create an ingredient list for the cocktails. Well, for the cocktails and drinks, and no boilerplate, right? So then you assemble your chain. Each chain has its respective prompt. Then you basically say, give me a full chain, right? That has chain 1, 2, and 3 on it. I'm going to set verbose equals true so we can see what the language model is doing. Okay, so then we run the full chain, right? So I will say melted cheese between bread, served with a soup or salad. Let's just say served with a, tomato soup, right? So there's some flavor in there and stuff. Okay, and since it's verbose equals true, we'll see what it's actually doing. So let's kill this. Let's run it again. Swift shave this time. I like the first one better. But anyway, so this should just work now. Famous last words. Okay, the taste profile for melted cheese between bread is savory, rich, and creamy with a hint of tanginess from the tomato soup. The cheese provides a gooey, melted texture. So then it told me, it said cocktail, Bloody Mary, and why it pairs. Then it said mocktail, Virgin Mary. It has savory, tangy flavor, and carrot and ginger juice. Why? Because it'll be a perfect match for the creamy flavor of the melted cheese and tomato soup. And then it basically finished the chain and it gave me these. This is what you need to buy. So, I mean, this is actually kind of useful because when my wife tells me guests are coming over and she's making maybe not a toasted cheese sandwich, but the second one, let's say. So she's making a steak and I need to go run out and get ingredients for the drinks that I want to make. Then I have it here. So maybe some practical use. So we can run it again and we can show how easily it is possible to then have a new list of ingredients. Medium rare steak, smoky flavor. So you really get different results, right? You're getting smoky old fashioned, cucumber and mint fizz, carrot. It gave the list in a different format. So of course, what it's doing here with the variety of formats, that's all on your quality of your prompt, right? That gets into the whole, I haven't touched on it, but prompt engineering is obviously a huge thing for LLMs. And you can imagine once you get into that, you can really prompt your way and chain your way into very specific and what's important, reproducible results. I could chuck that all in a single prompt for sure. I can say, given a dish, tell me the taste profile, give me this and give me that, chuck that into ChatGPT, well, GPT-4 probably, and it'll do it. The thing is, I'm using GPT 3.5, so you need to guide it. And also the issue is when you have hundreds of people using your application, or you yourself want to use it again and again, you don't want to have such variety in what comes out because they're stochastic by nature. Even this stuff, imagine if you were taking this and you were then plugging it into, I don't know, an Excel file, and then in that Excel file that looked up the prices or Google Sheets, you would need this to be always in the same format. So that you would need to do with prompt engineering. And then as a last example, what I want to do is run it with Doritos. Actually, don't know what it'll do with that. What kind of cocktail would you drink? A margarita with a chili infused tequila. So now you know, right? If you're eating a bag of Doritos, grab yourself a margarita with a chili infused tequila. Yeah, or a pineapple juice. Okay, great. Now on to the second example. Second example is also quite powerful. And I think if you've probably heard about ChatGPT plugins, this is a way to implement GPT plugins, essentially, right? And you have much more control over them. You can define your own plugin. You're basically giving your agent a tool to work with. What does that mean? So I have some stuff up here with SERP API because one of the tools that I'm using is SERP API. If you don't know what that is, it's basically an API to do Google searches, right? So I've stored that in my ZSHRC. If you want help with that, or I mean, there's guides online, just leave a comment and I'll try to help you out. As before, we load up our agent, but now what we do, well, I shouldn't call it an agent. I load up a LLM, let's call it that way. Then I define tools, right? There's a whole list of tools that you can follow there. But right now I have SERP API, LLM Math, Terminal, and Open Metro API, which is a weather tool. We can actually just click on that. And Wolfram Alpha you have, for example, right? And what you'll find is each of these tools has a description. And that's very, very important because that's how the LLM decides it should use this tool. And that gets into some troubles for custom tools, and I'll get into that later. So I have this quite elaborate way to run it. And the reason I'm doing that is there's some error. You can go into and see this issue, but I did some Googling around and it seems to work this way. So the simple thing we can ask is, what is Simple AI Chat GitHub repo about? So to prove to you that the language model doesn't really know this, I can go back here and I can run the first one again, right? Oh, sorry. Of course. I can run it again and I can paste in that question, and GPT without any tools will tell me as an AI language model. Okay, great. Now with our power for tools, we run it. So I've put verbose equals true. So it said, okay, I should search the internet about it, right? And it actually found the answer, but okay, it thought to itself, I still don't have a clear understanding, right? And well, it did whatever it did. Oops. Stop. It did whatever it did, but it said the Simple AI GitHub repo is a Python package for easily interfacing with chat apps like ChatGPT and GPT-4 with robust features and minimal code complexity. Okay? So if we actually do that and we go simple, so I have it already in the history. What is it? Yeah, I mean, it just pulled out the first line. I guess if you Google it, that's the snippet that comes out because it's not actually accessing this page. But you could build a Langchain chain, right? And then you could actually go in here and have a tool that scrapes it. But I'm getting ahead of myself, right? So that straight away shows you have a plugin. We can ask it other questions, right? List all the files in my current directory, and I'm noticing that it keeps going. Okay, let's clear that and let's run it. Okay, so it's going in. It says I need to use the command line tool, and guess what? It has interesting, but I want to know the total number of files. What did I actually ask it? I said list all the files. So you can see that it found those files, right? So it displays a warning because there's no safeguard. So be careful with that one. It might do a RM star on your folder and then you've lost all your files, right? So you want to sandbox this in some way. I'm not doing it. I'm being a little bit crazy, bit wild, running it on my computer. I probably will pay for that. But anyway, I mean, I'm not asking it to do much, right? So you could ask, move all zip files. Could we do that? No, let's leave it. Well, we could also do something like, I wonder if this will work. What are the top processes, or what are the processes using the most memory currently on my MacBook? It may not work because it needs to know. It did top mem. The issue is once you run it, I think what's happening is the top command just runs in the background. You can imagine, if I actually run top mem, it doesn't quit out of this. So it had the right idea, but I guess it's stuck, right? So that's showing you that this terminal tool is not detailed enough, right? It needs to have some more detail in it on catching commands that require a cat, if you know what that is, output. But nevertheless, it gives it the power to run and interact with your computer, which is something even ChatGPT can't do from the website, even with plugins. Yeah, and then I have some other examples, right? It'll go through and run that. So let's comment all those out and go to create own tools. So this is when things get very interesting. So I created some tools. You have to load up the tool package, right? And these I loaded up for the tools themselves. So here you define the tool, right? So it's the load CSV. It takes enough F name, and then it just reads that CSV using pandas and returns the contents of it as a pandas table. So that's the definition of the work, the core operation of your tool, and how the LLM knows about your tool is by the tool definition. So you give it a name, you say tool, You give it an ID, sorry, you give it a tool, you give the name of the tool, the function it should refer to, and the description. This is very important because this is how the LLM decides which tool to use, as I mentioned before, right? So you have to get this right. You may run into issues though, because there are conflicting descriptions. So we can get around that, but let's leave it there for now. Let's leave that tool as well. And let's just stick to the CSV tool for now. Oops. Okay. And all right, so I've set it up for the second tool actually. But what we can do is we can just run our agent with the file. So if I look into the file, it's farm.csv. So you say, give me descriptive stats about, was it data? Yeah, about data / farm.csv, right? Double check it. Yeah. So conversational agent is defined here. Tools B. LLM is what I described all the way on the top, right? That's ChatGPT 3.5. We have some memory definition here as well. And max iterations 3, so it doesn't keep looking for tools and get crazy. Verbose equals true. So we don't need to print it out explicitly. And then we can stick in here a continue. Okay. So let's clear that. Let's run it again. Remember, I commented out the first part, so it should just go straight into it. Okay, so it read my CSV file, right? Which talks about chickens and goats over the years. And it tells you in a format column, files are as follows. The mean number of chickens is 4.33. I'm actually curious if that's the case, right? 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 divided by, how many is that? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6, 4, 4, 4. So it obviously got that wrong, which is to be expected because the LLM can't actually do maths. So you would need perhaps another tool, which something like LLM math, for it to do that maths actually, you know. But nevertheless, the point was it loaded up the CSV from my computer, right? Which is pretty cool. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go to the YouTube tool. I'll just talk about that now. So this is a bit more involved, right? It may not work for you straight away because you need YouTube DLP to be installed on your computer, because I'm running basically a command in the terminal in the background. So my definition is you get a topic, you get the let's say the 10 titles of that topic. Let's keep it 5, right? And basically you return those titles. This is just formatting to return titles to the LLM. The YouTube tool says useful for when you need to search YouTube. Okay? That's all stuff we did before. We can ignore that for now, to be honest, and see if it works. I'll get into why that's there for a minute. Okay, so then I say find YouTube videos on the topic Reddit, and based on these, 1, tell me the overall sentiment of the videos, and 2, recommend a YouTube video that I should create. And give me an SEO-based title for this video. I can say recommend a video that I should create that will get the most views, right? Something like that. Okay, so then if we run it, we should see it running YouTube search with the Reddit. It's getting the titles. Now this can be tricky because YouTube DLP itself has some issues. Okay, but it didn't give me the issues. Awesome. So it gave me the titles, right? Why is Reddit collapsing? The coming Reddit crisis. Reddit effed up. Why the Reddit blackout won't work, and blah blah blah. This error is unrelated. I'll get to that. It actually ran without an error. So then it said, based on the YouTube videos on the topic Reddit, the overall sentiment of the videos is negative. Perfect. A recommended YouTube video that you should create that will get the most views is, why is Reddit collapsing? The coming Reddit crisis. So it seemed to just get the first video. SEO-based title for this video could be the dark side of Reddit, the coming collapse, and what you need to know. Okay, so that is something new. For some reason, it didn't actually tell me. Yeah, I guess I said based on these, recommend the YouTube video, right? The wording is not quite so good. It's poor prompting, actually. But I'm a prompt noob. So yeah, you need to be better with prompts. And the reason it gave me this error at line 148 is because of some other tool definitions, right? So that's really cool. So you can quickly search YouTube on a topic and get an idea of what your content should be, for example, right? So that's quite a useful tool. So what you see here is basically fixing the prompt, because as I mentioned, what can happen is that the language model gets the wrong tool or doesn't find your tool. Because if I had a description here that said useful for when you need to search the internet or something, right? Something very generic. The problem is it'll try using that and it may never get to your tool in 3 tries. It gets a bit confused. So what you can do there is then in the system prompt, right? In the system prompt, you can change that and you can specifically say, look, when the user says YouTube, you must use this tool, or you don't know anything about YouTube, always use this YouTube tool. Don't try to, because sometimes it also tries to figure it out itself, right? Like ChatGPT does. You tell it something, it'll say, hey, look, as an AI model, I don't know, but I can guess based on the topic. That's what we saw early on with the, what was it, the simple chat AI repo. Okay, so I just want to finish with a more in-depth example, right? And here, basically, you are downloading an image from a URL and then creating a caption for it, okay? The image right now is of the Eiffel Tower. It's from Unsplash. I'm just seeing if we can get it to not run the YouTube part. And so it's gonna basically say, use this tool. Sorry, the image caption tool is use this tool to find what an image shows given a URL. You will return a detailed caption describing the image, including the color palette. We define the image URL, then we say conversational agent, what does this image show? URL, and that's the description of the tool core functionality. Okay, so then we hit it and it starts the chain, said look for image captioner, and it says the image shows a giraffe view of the Eiffel Tower at dusk with cars passing by. Very good. You may notice the giraffe. So I couldn't figure this out. Why it always puts a giraffe in the photos. It loves giraffes, I think. I can't look. So the first thing I see is it says observation is a Rafe view of the Eiffel Tower. So a view of the Eiffel Tower makes sense. But this Rafe is being concatenated on it and it's thinking it's a giraffe, right? If I look for Rafe FFE, I don't find much. So I really can't figure out where giraffe is coming from. I've tried it with different images and it just loves to insert a giraffe in there. And it's funny because I said you will not ignore giraffes, and it says I found a giraffe but I can't return that, and it gets stuck in a loop. So that's again homework for you. Figure out why a giraffe is being put in there. But nevertheless, so that kind of shows you the power of tools. And I haven't gotten into combining chains with tools. You can see that explodes, right? It explodes to usefulness beyond what ChatGPT can do. All right, guys, thanks for listening and catch you next time.